Hi, my name is Bernard Eng. I'm a green entrepreneur. I've been doing this for the past 14 years. It is because of the first tree that I planted as a volunteer. I'm not sure why. Back then, I just fall in love with trees and I volunteer again and again. And I become a leader of an NGO, was inspiring people to plant trees, and then got myself appointed into United Nations, into the government's advisory boards. And now I'm an entrepreneur, and I just lately got a coaching certificate. So I'm a coach now. So I'm very happy for these sessions here. I would love to share whatever that you asked today so that it could benefit the audience here. Yeah. Thanks, Gwen.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm curious to ask you how you ended up in the United Nations Advisory Board firstly, because that sounds like a very impressive leap.
It was not really the UN thing. It was under the youth wing. And back then, back in the university time, there was something like youth ambassador. I was very lucky to being appointed in United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. So they have these programs, somehow a bit like a model United Nations. We've been traveling around the world to talk about policies. And some of the most profound topic was on nuclear energy. Back then, like 10 years back, we are already talking about zero carbon city, and only now you could see that happening. And yeah, it was a great journey with you, and I got to know a lot of great friends there.
Great. So, yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your company. So I see you have the T-shirt, right, with the logo there, Bernard Business Consulting. So
Yeah, sure.
what is it that you do?
Gwyneth, this is my company, Bernard Business Consulting. So we have a tagline called Sustainable Innovative Solutions. Basically, what we do in one sentence is we help our clients to turn their specific environmental problems into business opportunity. So that's one sentence in short. Our clients mainly come from the government sector. Because some governments they wanted to go green, they were very interested into renewable energy, and we have one solution called greenhouse solar dryer. This greenhouse solar dryer purpose is to dry on food post-harvest agricultural materials. So you can go to the website called greenhousesolardryer.com to have a look. It's our company products. So besides that, we also have clients from the non-for-profits. I think we have been helping Rainforest Alliance as well, and many NGOs in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia region as well. More on framework, more on speaking engagement, inspiring speaking engagement, which I love it. And for companies, it's more on the ESG, the sustainability reportings. And some of the companies nowadays, they are looking forward into profiting from sustainable development goals. They would love to go green as well, and they ask us to come in to help them to think about it. So yeah, that's in short about us, and just a bunch of crazy people. I would say a crazy bunch of engineers or inventors, and fall in love with our jobs. Hope that explains well.
Great. Yeah. And you mentioned now that you've trained also as a coach, right? So how do you see, how will coaching fit into that?
Wow, very good questions. And coaching started because of the pandemic. Because of the pandemic, the border is closed and a lot of projects cannot work, and you name it, inflations, things are getting tough to get, people issue and stuff. And I thought that I think it's a calling, and one of my life mission is to inspire people. I love that. And I saw this coaching by one of my trainer before, by Jeff. So I saw he's doing a lot of ICF, International Coaching Federation thing, and I went to his course, and I graduated now, so I can call myself a certified coach. And what I see the biggest difference is coaching. It's like the other extreme of consulting. So in consulting, we judge, we advise people, and our ideas and advice, it's money, but it's total opposite with coaching. Coaching, it's more on the evoke of self-awareness. Because a lot of the times, whenever we have a problem, actually we have the solution already. We might not want other people advice, or we might not want other people judgmental kind of saying, or whatever that you call that, because it's hurtful. So coaching create a better self-awareness. It just brings up that. And I find that it's very powerful right now. I'm doing it in my company. I'm coaching my people here. So I just love it. I just love it. I find that it's a loving tool. It's a loving tool, and it could make money. I mean, why not, right? So everyone should be a coach.
I like your attitude. I like that you also mentioned love, that it's a loving tool, because
Yes.
when we're talking about business, the word love seems almost like a taboo, right? But what role does love have in your work?
Wow. It's tough. It's tough because in the capitalism world, it's not easy to go against these systems. By the end of the day, everyone just care about the profits, and profits could be a very utilitarian kind of method. You just maximize it, and without caring about any other impact that you created, negative impact created to the environments or the people. So what I do as a founder and CEO of my own company, it's I try my best to create a good company culture. Say, for example, I practice meditation in my company. Before the meetings, we will have a 5 minutes meditations. Even for my coaching too, I did it just last week with one of my coaching client, and it's great because it would calm down the entire atmosphere. Because normally in the meetings, you tend to have a lot of negative sharing, sometimes, and it got a bit frustrated and stuff. Your anger, your old habit starts to evoke out. And this calmness from meditations is one of the loving tools that I find it's very powerful for business. And nature walk, I guess.
Yeah.
We do our best at least monthly, and walk in the forest. We have quite a number of forests in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So if we can't go to outskirts of where we are, we will go just the botanical gardens. There's a small hills, and we can have a walk. More importantly, it's this nature could bring us much more togetherness, the family kind of togetherness, and the word is called employee engagement, and it's pretty powerful. And there is so much we do. I think more importantly, it's be patient, because in business, that's the number one problems in my personal opinion. Everyone wants to be fast. They want to make extreme fast cash, and I think that's the biggest love we could do to our clients or to whoever stakeholders that related to us. Yeah.
So what do you find to be changing? Because you mentioned to me earlier a little bit of consciousness shifting. So do you feel like things are moving in a positive direction, or what is changing?
I think the pandemic has changed a lot. I still remember back then, when we do tree plantings events, it was like 13, 14 years ago, maybe more. It's so easy to get volunteers. That times, Facebook just got started, and we post an event there. It's so easy to gather like hundreds of people to plant trees. And now it's almost impossible, because we are in the information's kind of era, and there's a lot of noises. It could be good news, it could be fake news. You do not know what is right and wrong, and people are just confused. And I have felt because of the pandemic, people start to realize about this, and they are more aware about what they are consuming. It could be in the information consumptions, or the things that they buy, or whatever it is. It feels like they care more to buying green. They care more to be green. They start asking questions about green, because this is based on our inquiry and feedback from us. And also at the same time, I think the government also put a lot of budgets, a lot of fundings into environmental based businesses, particularly on ESG. So yeah, I felt it's really shifting the consciousness, but is it at the good way? Good way means it's like real. It's like being real. It's like you really walk the talk. I have not seen it yet, but it's a good start. It's a really good start. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you more about, Malaysia, because I've never been, and I don't know generally how is it in terms of environmental awareness or connection with nature from your perspective.
Malaysia is one of the worst, I guess, in terms of environmental destructions. We have one of the fastest deforestation rate in the world. We were one time #1 in the world. So a bit similar like Indonesia and a few Southeast Asia country as well. I think because we are situated in the tropical area, we have hardwood, we have great wood, we have woods that tall. It's so tall, and they are primary forests, and wood is costly, and a lot of consumer want this, especially in the Western market, also in Japan as well. They were hungry about all these good wood, and we are one of the producer for that. So we were one of them, and it's not easy to change in terms of people awareness, because it's a huge long range of corrupted system, involve many parties. It's not easy, but people start to voice out. There were concerns about corruptions. There were concerns about the things that they buy, because they know that if they buy a wood product, it will cost them another tree going to be felled in the forest. So there were more concerns about this. But in the bigger picture about Malaysia, I would say it's growing slowly and steadily. It's not as rapid fast like in the European Union. Because I personally felt European Union has a big budgets in putting all this thing, but not yet here in Southeast Asia. In terms, if it's here, maybe more funds was in the reporting side, the ESG reporting side, more on focus on public listed company. And there were a lot of carbon bonds and stuff. But in terms of real walking the talk, it's growing very slow and steadily. Yeah.
You were saying before, with the pandemic, people are more likely to follow orders from the government, right, in Asia. So do you feel like big changes would have to come from the top down if we were really wanting to change things there?
In Asia, or maybe I would say in Malaysia, we are more of a compliance kind of country. In terms of our power distance, or the top-down distance, there is a term called power distance. We also could be one of the highest, one of the top. Maybe we are #1. I'm not sure. So if I personally felt the change in Malaysia or in Southeast Asia region, maybe not Singapore. In Singapore too, Singapore also as well. The change must start from the top governments. and they must have a great policy and great plan on the implementations and huge budget, and only people will start to follow. The bottom-up approach, which is the people approach going up to the government, it's growing, but it's too small and could be insignificant for the governments to make change. So that culture is a bit different than where you are now. So yeah, I hope I answer your questions.
Yeah. And I'm wondering how it is within companies too, right? Because companies have their own politics and power structures. So with the work you do, what are the biggest challenges you face when you're going into these companies?
I think it's the same. You have to go through with the top senior management or the C-suite level management people. I think the top challenges, it's education. Yeah, it's the top, and a lot of companies, after so many years and being a speaker for so many years, it's still rather the same. I felt they still want you to educate them about this and that, but to me, possibly I have reached that consciousness. I felt that if you want to go green for your company, it's very simple. It starts from you. By the small little plastic bag that you can refuse, by the little straw that you can refuse, and whatever that you can reject, or whatever. It starts from your own lifestyle. So it is the same. It has to start from the top, which is the C-suites level management. And education to me is the toughest, because you need a lot of love. Without that, your patient will go on haywire.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring it back to you, and you talked in the beginning about your love of trees being one of the things that inspired you. So what else, what would you say is your motivation? Like, what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning?
Good questions. It changes, I guess. Ultimately, what makes me motivated, and I'm still believing in what I'm doing, it's I could inspire one person at a time to go green. Yeah, so that's all. I mean, I'm doing it every day, man. Just before these sessions, I was talking to another colleague here in the office. We're talking about green things, oh, it's easy, just do this, do that. Oh, wow, I did not know this. It's that simple. So sometimes a lot of people, they are not aware about how simple being green is. Doing it is so simple, and they're always taught about changes must come from the top. No, actually, green is so beneficial. It's not troublesome at all. It's actually bring you more wealth and more health. Have you thought about that? So I think for us as a advocate, both of us are advocate environments. We should change our perspective in our education, in our sharing. The educations must be more positive. It brings a motivation or inspiring kind of actions within them. I think that is a better way. Yeah, I think that's a better way.
And when you tell people, oh, just do this thing to turn, to go green, what kind of actions do you normally suggest?
It starts from you. Basically, what you could do is you could use a coaching method. You need to understand the whole situation first, and maybe a little bit of mentoring. What are you doing? And oh wow, that's interesting. And what could you do better? And oh, I have a better suggestions. Somebody did this before, and maybe you can try and whatsoever. Back then, many years back, I don't listen this from people. But now, yes, people are asking me about all these small little things. Can I start planting trees? I really want to do it. It's like, oh wow, did not hear this 5 to 10 years ago. It's like, oh wow. So it's the thing that make me wake up from the bed. Yeah.
Cool. And I also like to ask people about the future vision. So do you have a vision of the future that really motivates you?
What do you mean by that? Future?
The future, let's say if you imagine what you'd like Malaysia or the planet to be like in 10 to 20 years, what would be your ideal vision for it? And that can include for your own life, but it doesn't have to, just the bigger vision.
I think the visions that if I have a crystal ball in front of me, yeah, you mean, right? Yeah. What kind of things I could see? Yeah. It's tough to be positive. It's tough because the ESG thing that I'm doing now, to me personally, it's the same like the CSR thing I do 10 years back. I was also a corporate social responsibility certified manager. So I've been helping people to get all these sponsors for tree planting or whatever. So I don't see that different. Yeah, I don't see that much different. But people take it very seriously as a tool to being green. To have calculations into things, you have this carbon footprint, how do you put that in the financial terms and so forth, and then you put in some investments, some bonds and whatsoever. So I couldn't see that positively, but taking it as a tool, I would say, if we don't do this, there's no more hope, yeah, there's no more hope. So we will still do it, but we should do it with a balanced mind. How can we strike the balance between the both extremes? At one hand, you want to be the super green, which is the zero waste type. You produce zero plastics or whatever. And other hands, you want to be maximizing profits and to exploit every nature that you have. How do you strike the balanced mind between both? So if you tell me my crystal ball, that's my answer. And I would really hope to see more and more people to go green from their inner heart. Means they really be green and be that role model that really walk the talk. I'm seeing this more and more. I'm seeing this more and more. Like in Malaysia, we start to bring a lot of containers, kind of packing, and people are charging about plastics. The government's charging about plastics, and we can see it's going down. People will bring their bags and stuff. So it will be more. The consumption's way of the conscious consumption's way of doing things will be more in the future. So definitely will be a greener future. At the same time, I also felt a bit of negative.
Yeah. Well, we have to strike a balance of what is realistic, maybe, and what is the ideal future as well. So let's say not only a crystal ball, but also a magic wand. If you could use a magic wand and have any future you want, what would be the ideal for you?
Freedom. Yeah. So I think ultimately being human is not green, it's being free. Yeah, it's being free. Being green will come if you are free. So I realized a lot of people are trapped into their day-to-day kind of habits or routines that you call that, It could be a rat race that they've been chasing for success, which is potentially more higher positions or higher paycheck or whatsoever. And basically, they have thrown away their freedom. So why I say freedom, it's important if I have the magic wand, because if you have freedom, you will start to think for yourself. Yeah, you will start to think deeply. What do I really want in my life? And that's simple. So I realize people do not have time to think about that. That's why they need both of us as a coach. So I wish to have the ability to create that if I have the magic stick. Yeah.
And I think that's the real conversation, right, around freedom and capitalism, and most people just don't have time or energy to make these choices. And I think if you ask a lot of people, they would prefer to be living in harmony with nature, with a community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my final question for you is, what is your favorite tree?
I don't think you can find this tree in your region. It's a local name. It's called kapul tree. It's a Deuterocarps tree. It's a huge tree, huge hardwood tree. Why I really like this? I even carve these tree seeds, the seeds of the tree, into my wedding ring.
Wow.
Into my wedding ring. I met my wife because of tree too. Go to our blogs, Green Wedding blog. It's called couplegogreen.wordpress.com. Have a look. I think we organized the first green wedding in Malaysia. I've not seen any other one did that. Why I love this tree is because it's just huge, and Deuterocarps has a very special, unique characteristic. There is mass fruiting season. It could be 4 years once, 10 years once, it depends. And when it fruits, all the species of the Deuterocarps family will fruit together. And why I like this kapul tree particularly is the scientific name is called Aromatica, dry balanops, because when it fruits, the seeds, it's like a helicopter. It will turn, and the seeds smells great. The oil of it actually can make into a lot of things like perfumes and resins and stuff. I don't know, every time when I think about this tree, I think about my wife, my family now. So it's just nice. Yeah. And I'm still planting trees, possibly more, because I'm inspiring people to plant trees. So yeah, that was a good questions, my dear.
I like to see that love of nature coming out, and remind people, that we are doing this not only because we want to have a healthy, livable planet, but from love of nature as well. Great.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end?
Thank you for your inviting this session, Gwyneth. I really enjoy it. I hope your audience gains something from my sharing. I hope it's not too much of my personal ego sharing or whatever. So if you would love to connect with me, just go to my LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com/in/Bernard Eng, Eng. So you could find a lot of the things that I do for my company and for non-for-profit side and for the government side as well. So do stay connected if you feel these sessions it's beneficial to you and worth continue this relationship together again. Yeah.
Great, thank you.